Forever, fellas and ladies. How's it going? My name is Stuart Davis. I'm a deacon at a small church just outside of Richmond, Virginia. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a biblical scholar. I haven't been to seminary. I'm not trying to get you to join my church or donate to any special cause. What I'm here to do is talk about Christianity, talk about God, talk about faith in general. So if you're somebody who is searching out for more meaning, interested in Jesus, interested in becoming a Christian, by all means, welcome. You are one of the main reasons why I started this channel in the first place. Listen to what I have to say. Let it be a primer. Let it be some sort of stepping stone towards a path to a relationship with God. I'm very much someone you might run into if you join a church. So take from me what you can. I'm a non-denominational Protestant. I don't subscribe to any particular doctrine or denomination, just in the word every day, just trying to make sense of it all. If you are here because you enjoy listening to Christian dialogue, just the discussion of Christian issues, if you like to be part of the chat, by all means, be here. Be here. I'm excited to have you, and be active. Be active. Be part of this chat, which is oftentimes brought about many great things to ponder and talk about. This is very much at the size that this community is right now. It's very much like a small group. So come on in, like and subscribe, promote this to anybody you think might want to hear it, and put your thoughts out here in the chat for us to discuss and respond to. So, how is everybody doing? It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. I did not have church softball yesterday. I was out doing something else. But I do have church softball next Monday. That's the playoffs. Playoffs for the losers bracket, folks. We can't all be winners, and I am certainly not when it comes to softball. But the big thing here is a Wild Weeb is in the chat, folks. Wild Weeb, how's it been going, man? I haven't seen you in a few days. We were all kind of worried about you. I couldn't remember whether you said you had something else going on or whatnot. But it's good to see you in the chat. Glad to see that you're excited about getting in here, and and I'm sure that if Nico's going to be second to anybody, you were who he wanted to be second to. Um, because that's how it is, man. That's how it is. Good evening, Nico. Good evening, Blaine. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? I see Nico. Wild Weaves had been having some issues right in real life, but glad I was able to catch streaming tonight. Wild. Um, I hope whatever issues those are, you're able to deal with them as best you can. I know that a lot of issues sometimes aren't the sometimes are more sensitive than you want to share out in the public sphere. But if it's anything you want to talk about with the group, that's obviously something we can run through. But you know, keep your private stuff private a lot of times, and I'm not saying that same because I don't want to hear it or I feel like nobody else wants to hear it. But sometimes airing private stuff out in public isn't healthy. So, with that said, whatever's going on, whether you want to talk about it or not, I hope that that God has laid out a path that you can identify and take that where you need to take it. So, good evening, everybody. I've been engrossed in the last, I don't know, hour with Twitter idiocy, deconstructionists, and if you want to hear about deconstructionists, it's just a path to stay away from. It's a bunch of folks trying to apply apologetics to politics and why the Bible agrees with their political beliefs, instead of just saying that there's a distinct um, there's a distinct disparity between what they like and what is good and wholesome in this world as described by God. And it's sad. It's a sad thing to see. But what I do want to see is what I do want to do is I've put some feelers out. I want to do I've been wanting to do it for a while, but I've just kind of been putting it off because I feel like we've been having so much fun going through these biblical reading streams that I didn't want to mess up the. I just really haven't been focused on it, and I didn't want to ruin that momentum getting into Joshua, since we were coming out of what is oftentimes a grind, getting through Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And we're kind of grinding through here with the allotments, but you guys seem to be taking this very much in stride, and I think that's great. But I've reached out to some folks trying to get a discussion on about deconstruction and why it is dangerous when you run into people who are openly like, I deconstructed my faith. It's basically what I equated it to on Twitter was being a cafeteria Catholic. It's the folks who take out of Catholicism what they like and what they agree with and just ignore the rest. And look, this isn't something that is limited to Catholicism. It's just a term, right? It's a term that a lot of us use. A lot of Catholics will use it too. For folks who want to, say they're Catholic, but I don't really agree with their views on homosexuality or abortion. Because look, Pope Francis aside, and some of these more modernist bishops and Catholic leaders, the church as a whole still affirms that what the God's definition of marriage is, and the fact that abortion is a sin, it is murder, and it is not a question of choice. It is a question of life. So, but like, to get back to what I was talking about on there, it's not limited to Catholicism, obviously, because this deconstructionist thing is really popular among the evangelical and non-denominational. Talking about my own self as a non-denominational, but the evangelical, non-denominationals, Pentecostals, that us loose, free-range Christian sect or area of Christianity, you'll find it a lot, and really it is for people who want to insert leftist ideology into faith, and that's what they want. They want to be like, well, I believe down with the patriarchy, so the Bible really says the patriarchy is bad. The Bible is very uncomfortable for feminism. It just is. It's very strict on gender norms, and this is not just Old Testament stuff that I'm talking about. This is New Testament stuff here. But it's weary. And then it's like, look, what they were discussing is I fell into some bad theology, and so I used this to get me out of it. Well, if you fell into bad theology, maybe you're not the best person to go to. You can't depend on yourself to pull you out of bad theology, because maybe you're not very good at identifying what is good and what's bad. Maybe if you're not a mechanic, if you start pulling an engine apart, you can't identify what's good and what's bad. You might see that there's a hole in the block and say, that's not good, but you might not recognize what might have contributed to that hole going into the block. And so when you start going, well, this piece looks cool, I'm going to keep this. Next thing you know, you've got another bad engine. And this is kind of an appeal to authority fallacy that I'm getting into, but I mean, this is a very practical example, right? And this is me as a non-denominational. Look, I will readily admit I don't have all the answers. There are people out there that do a much better job of explaining things well, and yeah. I mean, there are better thinkers out there, and folks that I've brought up in the stream. My two best examples: Hans Feeney, from the Lutheran group, and Thaddeus Patrick from the Eastern Orthodoxy. Great folks, really put things into perspective, really explain it well. But to be honest with you, Scripture is what it is. and it's not meant to be parsed out into little blurbs. Scripture is the whole. You can't just, when you talk about, a lot of times when you talk about deconstructing, what they're talking about is taking things out that they don't like about their faith. A lot of times it's scripture that they're trying to throw away. Well, this doesn't apply anymore. This doesn't apply anymore. No, this isn't real. This isn't uh this isn't a thing. This isn't practical in today's society. Now, today's society is broken in many ways. So maybe what's practical isn't exactly the right thing, right way to go about this. So let me start back with the chat before we get into tonight's stream. All right. So Nico said Leighton Red Sox. Nico, you're on my you're so great. You're so great. I know that I was talking about how bad you were, but you're so great, actually. Nico, Wild, we wish you the best of luck with your stuff. It was doing great until I realized it wasn't first on stream. I think you're doing okay now. I think you're doing better now, Nico, than you were because you noticed that it was Weeb on there. Planes here doing great. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Weeb thanking for the warm welcome back. Hey man, just glad to have you here. And look, if you could have just gotten bored with the stream, or you could have thought I said something dumb about maybe some anime you didn't like, and you just ran off. Or you just had other better things to do, like, I don't know, whatever. Maybe you're going to church at night instead of during the day. Who knows? But whatever it is, glad to have you on here. Thank you. Blaine says about to throw some burgers on the grill tonight. Whiskey Wednesday. Did I say it was? I said today was Tuesday. It's Wednesday. Y'all are right. Tomorrow's Thursday. I'm all messed up today, folks. All messed up today. I'll never be as messed up as a deconstructionist. Blainscape. I laughed at your Sun Tzu quote. Look, I do that as a joke. It's a dark sense. I have a very dark sense of humor. I have a very dark sense of humor, and I am not here to. I'm not here to pretend I'm anything more than I am. But I have a dark sense of humor. I thought it was funny. However, not all war is based. Not all war is based, and I'm saying that as a OIF veteran. I do not think I don't think that the war I fought in was based at all. I thought we fought in a legitimate enemy. I thought that that they were legitimate bad guys, but how it was done, some of the motivations behind it, and the overall execution of it was incredibly not based. Not based. Not based. And a lot of good people are messed up. It's easier if you take World War II, for example. I don't know if I've talked about this before. I think I talked about this on my Veterans Day stream. But one of the best things for me when I came back was the Army got us up together. The races were coming through Richmond. The NASCAR race was coming through Richmond. So they had us go and they gave us these garage passes, and that was great. Got to meet a bunch of drivers. But they also, because I was part of the 29th Infantry Division, they also got us hooked up with some folks who were part of the 29th Infantry Division in World War II. Now, if you don't know, if you see Saving Private Ryan, you'll see some references to 29th ID. 29th Infantry was in the D-Day invasion, right? And so we did have some folks, some men present who did storm those beaches. And one of the things that what I found great was that these folks had experienced much worse than I had, and they faced it down. I mean, running towards legitimate hail of bullets. Lots of us have seen the movies. Lots of us have tried to imagine, put ourselves in those shoes. It's very difficult, if not impossible, to really, really fully understand that. These folks had seen terrible things done to their friends and just random people, even as they moved through Europe. These folks had carved out a life for themselves, in spite of that. But one of the things I think was that was easier for them. Not saying that it was easy at all, but was easier for them is when you know you're the good guy. You knew you were the good guys, fighting against evil. And yet, but when you're, folks who were in Vietnam, who probably were treated the worst at home and had the most questions about what they were doing. Folks from Vietnam, and Iraq and Afghanistan war veterans, sometimes it's difficult to place whether you're, just because the other guy was bad, whether you were a good guy at all. And I think that haunts a lot of legitimate veterans, or who veterans who legitimately suffer from PTSD. Not just the folks who have PTSD from the fear and the action, but legitimate actions that they took. So, but yeah, I thought it was funny. War's based. Just erase all the other stuff he said. War's based. Sun Tzu. Blaine said, I make the meat nice and thick to keep the juice flowing when I slap it on the buns. Man, good burgers, good. I ate it. I don't know if anybody y'all know what a Fuddruckers is, but I ate a Fuddruckers this week. Hey man, I hadn't seen one of them things in years, and I came across one, and I was like, we have to eat here. Me and my wife were like, yes, we got to get here. So we ate at one. It was just like it always was, and it was good. It was delicious. So, and then Blaine follows it up. I'd say there's a difference in deconstructing the floof that comes along with Catholic or other services and being a buffet Christian, pick and choosing. That whole is for, yeah, there's a difference, but not, you're kind of, the core concept I said is I would say it was very similar. Very similar. Because a lot of times they're like, oh, you got to pull it apart what I like. And, what's the problem? And pick it apart. And then you follow it up nicely with, that hole's for the spark plug, you ding dong. Yeah, no. I had an 02 WRX. I legitimately put a hole through the block, the size of my fist. It definitely didn't need to go there. And it was attributed by all the oil that was on the ground when I broke down. Nico says, I just realized tonight is a glowy night. Why is it a glowy night? What's going on? What are the glowies up to? You have a O2 bug eye? Oh, that's great. I had a wagon, WRX wagon, and World Rally Blue. Love that thing to death. And it was the best handling car I ever owned until what I have currently. Until what I own currently. And I'd love it back, but I had such a bad experience with Subaru, because the car was still 3,000 miles under 3,000 miles under warranty. Only had 33,000 miles under it on it when the thing blew, and it was that. And if you remember that that engine suffered from lean fuel rails, precisely where. Oh, okay. The EGA 205 swap on a sedan. So is the EJ 205 the STI motor? Is that the 2.5? Warranty has no power here. I did. I thought that one, the 02 and 03, I love the bug eyes. And then the 04, 05 or 04 to 06 body styles were the best looking Subarus they had. I love those. I love those WRXs and STIs. Fight me if you don't agree. And Nika said glowing night. Oh yeah, because of the shirt. Sorry about this, guys. It's just what I'm wearing. I didn't feel like changing. We've got the STI is the EJ 205 and the EJ 207. The WRX was the 2. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. The STI is a 2.0. The WRX is a 2.5. Right. I'm trying to pull back here. It's been a long time. I actually almost bought the new Subaru, or the 2022 Subaru STI, and then I heard about all the reliability issues that that Subaru's been having basically since they added they tried to really enter the performance market. Um, the performance market, and they've just been plagued with reliability issues, which is really contrary to um, what the brand reputation is on those cars. I mean, those things are, they used to last forever. They used to last forever. But if you've got a WRX or an STI, outside of the first couple generations, it's not a. Yeah, I'd say since they stopped trying to be rally, they lost a lot of the brand. Yeah, I thought that was the cool thing. I always thought the Evo was ugly, but I always appreciated the rivalry. I don't like Mitsubishis. I don't think they're Mitsubishis reliable at all. I mean, the Eclipse. Everybody knew at an Eclipse the transmission never lasted. Those cars never lasted. And the Evo. I mean, those things break down. Those things were always breaking down. So, all right. All right, Blaine, we can talk JDM all day long, but we got to get into this tonight because we've got 4 chapters we're getting through. We normally do 2, but I said, no, we are not doing that tonight. We are going to push through all these allotments and go through them. I didn't like, but while I'm doing this, I will say, Blaine, I didn't like the Hawk generation. I didn't like the look of them, but from what I understand, those were pretty solid, and that was maybe the last solid STIs they made. That's right. We're going to do a different JDM tonight. Joshua's dominant march, and now reaping the spoils. There it is. Share. All right, here we go. Allotment for Ephraim and Manasseh. The allotment for Joseph began at the Jordan, east of the springs of Jericho, and went up from there through the desert into the hill country of Bethel. It went on from Bethel, that is Luz, crossed over to the territory of the Archites and Ataroth, descended westward to the territory of the Japhletites, as far as the region of Lower Beth Horon and on to Gezer, ending at the Mediterranean Sea. So Manasseh and Ephraim, the descendants of Joseph, received their inheritance. It was the territory of Ephraim according to its clans. The boundary of their inheritance went to Ataroth Adar in the east to Upper Beth Horon and continued to the Mediterranean Sea. From Mikmathath on the north, it curved eastward to Tanath Shiloh, passing by it to Genoa on the east. Then it went down from Genoa to Ataroth to Narah, touched Jericho, and came out at the Jordan. From Tapua, the border went west to the Kana ravine and ended in the Mediterranean, at the Mediterranean Sea. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the Ephraimites, according to its clans. It also included all the towns and their villages that were set aside for the Ephraimites within the inheritance of the Manassites. They did not dislodge the Canaanites living in Gezer. To this day, the Canaanites live among the people of Ephraim, but are required to do forced labor. Sound like slavery to y'all? It sounds like slavery to me. It does sound like slavery. But here, again, they did not dislodge. This is the important things to remember because look, Joshua accomplishes a lot, but it seems like what he doesn't really fully deal with is the presence of Canaanites and other of their ilk, as God instructed them to do. And it doesn't really say anything in here about what God's opinion of that is. However, he did warn them what would happen if they didn't. If you look back um, into Moses at the very end of or throughout Deuteronomy, and what we see behind that. So if we look at the past of this moment, we see the warning, we see what they do, and then we see we'll see what happens when we get into the continuation of Israel and Judah, and what happens really is what Moses said would happen. And if you don't remember, go back and watch my stream, or go back and read the Bible, which is probably the better thing to do, right? This was the allotment for the tribe of Manasseh as Joseph's firstborn, that is, for Machir. Manasseh's firstborn, Machir, was the ancestor of the Gileadites, who had received Gilead and Bashan because the Machirites were great soldiers. So this allotment was for the rest of the people of Manasseh, the clans of Abiezer, Helek, Azriel, Shechem, Hefer, and Shemitah. These are the other male descendants of Manasseh, son of Joseph, by their clans. The patriarchy is not biblical. Okay. Okay, fam. We do refer to God as Father, too, by the way. Now, Zelophehad, son of Hefer, the son of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, had no sons, but only daughters. Now, if you remember, this goes all the way back to end of Exodus, part of Leviticus. But we covered this. Zelophehad, son of Hefer, he was the one. He died, and the daughters brought the issue up to the leaders to talk about. The only daughters, whose names were Mala, Noah, Hagla, Milcah, and Tirzah, they went to Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the leaders and said, "The Lord commanded Moses to give us an inheritance among our relatives." So Joshua gave them an inheritance along with the brothers of their father, according to the Lord's command. Manasseh's share consisted of 10 tracts of land beside Gilead and Bashan east of the Jordan. Because the daughters of the tribe of Manasseh received an inheritance among the sons, the land of Gilead belonged to the rest of the descendants of Manasseh. The territory of Manasseh extended from Asher to Milcmethas, east of Shechem. The boundary ran southward from there to include the people living in En Tappuah. Manasseh had the land of Tappuah, but Tappuah itself on the boundary of Manasseh belonged to the Ephraimites. Then the boundary continued south of the Kanah ravine. There were towns belonging to Ephraim lying among the towns of Manasseh, but the boundary of Manasseh was the northern side of the ravine and ended at the Mediterranean Sea. On the south, the land belonged to Ephraim, on the north to Manasseh. The territory of Manasseh reached the Mediterranean Sea and bordered Asher on the north and Issachar on the east. Within Issachar and Asher, Manasseh also had Beth-shan, Ibleam, and the people of Endor. Smell some Star Wars fandom in here. Tanakh and Megiddo, together with their surrounding settlements, the third in the list is Naphoth. Yet the Manassites were not able to occupy these towns, for the Canaanites were determined to live in that region. However, when the Israelites grew stronger, they subjected the Canaanites to forced labor, but did not drive them out completely. Again, we see this mentioned very specifically. We have a specific instruction from God through Moses: get the Canaanites out of there, completely wipe them out. And what we've seen is basically every allotment so far that we've discussed, Canaanites remain. And I think before with the Canaanites, when we were talking about it Friday night or Thursday night, hang on. The Jebusites. Judah could not dislodge the Jebusites. They're not getting rid of the problem. They're not getting rid of the problem. The people of Joseph said to Joshua, "Why have you given us only one allotment and one portion for an inheritance? We are a numerous people, and the Lord has blessed us abundantly." "If you are so numerous," Joshua answered, "and if the hill country of Ephraim is too small for you, go up into the forest and clear land for yourselves there in the land of the Perizzites and Rephites." The people of Joseph replied, "The hill country is not enough for us, and all the Canaanites who live in the plains have chariots fitted with iron, both those in Bethshan and its settlements, and those in the valley of Jezreel." But Joshua said to the tribes of Joseph, to Ephraim and Manasseh, "You are numerous and very powerful. You will have not only one allotment, but the forested hill country as well. Clear it, and its farthest limits will be yours. Though the Canaanites have chariots fitted with iron, and though they are strong, you can drive them out." God has blessed us with a lot of arrows. Yes. Yes, Blaine. And look, this is very plain. If you have faith in the Lord, he's going to deliver you. That's what we've seen. Victory after victory after victory with Joshua throughout his campaign. And what, you're worried about some chariots fitted with iron? Just get rid of them. Just get rid of them. Ask your fellows for help. Are the other tribes not going to help you? Come on, folks. Come on, son. Hope we got some psych fans in here. Come on, son. All right. So again, we've done Judah, we've done Manasseh and Ephraim, and look what we got. We've got Canaanites remaining and Jebusites remaining in each of those groups. Division of the rest of the land. The whole assembly of the Israelites gathered at Shiloh and set up the tent of meeting there. The country was brought under their control, but there were still 7 Israelite tribes who had not yet received their inheritance. So Joshua said to the Israelites, "How long will you wait before you begin to take possession of the land that the Lord, the God of your ancestors, has given you?" Yeah. Look, guys, we've been waiting 40 years and traveling and walking around this wilderness. What are y'all waiting for? "Appoint 3 men from each tribe. I will send them out to make a survey of the land and to write a description of it, according to the inheritance of each. Then they will return to me. You are to divide the land into 7 parts. Judah is to remain in its territory on the south, and the tribes of Joseph on the territory on the north. After you have written descriptions of the 7 parts of the land, bring them here to me, and I will cast lots for you in the presence of the Lord our God. The Levites, however, do not get a portion among you, because the priestly service of the Lord is their inheritance. And Gad, Reuben, and the half-tribe of Manasseh have already received their inheritance on the east side of the Jordan. Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave it to them." Look, everybody's starting to settle down. What's keeping you guys so long? As the men started on their way to map out the land, Joshua instructed them, "Go and make a survey of the land and write a description of it. Then return to me, and I will cast lots for you here at Shiloh in the presence of the Lord." So the men left and went through the land. They wrote its description on a scroll, town by town, in 7 parts, and returned to Joshua in the camp at Shiloh. Joshua then cast lots for them in Shiloh in the presence of the Lord, and there he distributed the land to the Israelites according to their tribal divisions. Allotment for Benjamin. Won't Benji? The first lot came up for the tribe of Benjamin according to its clans. Their allotted territory lay between the tribes of Judah and Joseph. On the north side, their boundary began at the Jordan, past the northern slope of Jericho, and headed west into the hill country, coming out at the wilderness of Beth Aven. From there, it crossed to the south slope of Luz, that is Bethel, just call it one or the other, and went down to Adaroth Adar on the hill south of lower Beth Horon. From the hill facing Beth Horon on the south of the boundary, turned south. From the hill facing Beth Horon on the south, the boundary turned south along the western side and came out at Kirith Baal, that is Kirith Jearim, a town of the people of Judah. This was the western side. The southern side began at the outskirts of Kiriath Jearim on the west, and the boundary came out at the spring of the waters of Nephtoah. The boundary went down to the foot of the hill facing the valley of Ben Hinnom, north of the valley of Rephaim. It continued down the Hinnom Valley along the southern slope of the Jebusite city and so to En Rogel. It then curved north, went to En Shemesh, continued to Gelioth, which faces the path of Adumim, and ran down to the stone of Bohan, son of Reuben. It continued to the northern slope of Beth Arabah, and on down to the Arabah, or down into the Arabah. It then went to the northern slope of Beth Hogla and came out at the northern bay of the Dead Sea, at the mouth of the Jordan in the south. This was the southern boundary. The Jordan formed the boundary on the eastern side. These were the boundaries that marked out the inheritance of the clans of Benjamin on all sides. The tribe of Benjamin, according to its clans, had the following towns: Jericho, Beth Hogla, Emek Keziz, Beth Arabah, Zeramim, Bethel, Avim, Para, Ophrah, Kephar Ammoni, Opni, and Geba, the 12 towns and their villages. I screwed that up as I continue to screw up these pronunciations. Gibeon, Ramah, Beeroth, Mizpah, Kipharah, Moza, Rechem, Erpeel, Teralah, Zelah, Hileph, the Jebusite city, that is Jerusalem. Let's call it Jerusalem. Gibeah and Kiriath, 14 towns and their villages. This was the inheritance of Benjamin for its clans. One thing I've noticed here, did not mention yet, I don't see a mention here of confidence story. I'm not confident in this. Look, folks, I lack it. I lack it. Pray for things other than me having confidence in pronouncing these words, okay? Let the heavenly body correct me at the time of my judgment. I will get it right from there. Then hopefully I will speak it correctly. All right, 19. This is our last one because it goes through the rest. I think. Seems like it. Looked like it. Allotment for Simeon. The second lot came out for the tribe of Simeon according to its clans. Their inheritance lay within the territory of Judah. It included Beersheba, or just Sheba, Molada, Hazar Shual, Bela, Ezim, Eltalad, Bethel, Hormah, Ziklag, Beth Markaboth, Hazar Susa, Beth Lebaoth, and Sharuin, 13 towns and their villages. Ain, Rimmon, Ether, and Ashan, 4 towns and their villages, and all the villages around these towns as far as Baalath Beer, Ramah in the Negev. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the Simeonites according to its clans. The inheritance of the Simeonites was taken from the share of Judah because Judah's portion was more than they needed. So the Simeonites received their inheritance within the territory of Judah. We're going to look at a map of this at the end. Allotment for Zebulun. Third lot came up for Zebulun according to its clans. The boundary of their inheritance went as far as Sarid. Going west, it ran to Marilah, touched Dabesheth, and extended to the ravine near Jokneam. It turned east from Sarid towards the sunrise to the territory of Kisloth Tabor and went on to Dabarath and up to Japhia. It then continued eastward to Gath Hefer and Eth Kazin. It came out at Rimmon and turned toward Nia. There, the boundary went around on the north to Hanathon and ended at the valley of Ifta-El. It included were Katath, Nehalal, Shimron, Idalah, and Bethlehem. There were 12 towns and their villages. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of Zebulun according to its clan. Blaine, just remember you're reading the English alphabet for an ancient text. It's like when you translate Chinese to English and you can have Zhu or Zhu or Shao for the same character. Yeah. Yeah, I never pick up on that either. Even if you read the English correctly, it's still probably wrong. So no worries and say it with your full chest. It's not so much um whether I think I've got it correct. It's hard because when you have something like Jockniam up here, let me find even, it's just a lot of hard pronunciations together. Sharuhan. And I try to read through something pretty quick. Lebeoth. Lebeoth. And you immediately go, I didn't do that right. I missed a letter, and you try to go back. But you're right. I just sound awkward when I do it. And I don't like, and I, not to say I'm too honest, but I mean, that's kind of where it is. I'm too honest to just let it go instinctually. I don't power through it as well as I could, but because I immediately go, I said that wrong. I need to go back and fix it. Even though I know I should know, I can't fix it because I don't know what I'm saying. So I'm trying to work it. I'm trying to work it, but I appreciate you all being very supportive of me. Where did I leave? Their boundary went from around the north to Hanathon and ended at the valley of Ifta-El. Included were Katath, Nahalal, Shimron, Idalah, and Bethlehem. These are towns. Okay, I already read that. All right, so we've been through Zebulun, and we've been through Simeon, and we've seen and Benjamin. Where they didn't leave these things behind. They didn't leave the Canaanites there. So now we've got some good movement there. But again, we've already poisoned the well. But the question is, how poisoned is the well? How concentrated is the poison? It's still there. It's still fully poisoned, but how concentrated is it? The fourth lot came out for Issachar according to its clans. Their territory included Jezreel, Kesuloth, Shunem, Hepharim, Shion, Anaharath, Ribith, Kishion, Ebez, Remeth, and Ganim, and Hadah, and Beth Pazez, or Pazez. The boundary touched Tabor, Shahazuma, and Beth Shemesh, and ended at the Jordan. There were 16 towns and their villages. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of the tribe of Issachar according to its clans. Okay, still no Canaanite, no mention of Canaanites remaining. Allotment for Asher. The fifth lot came out for the tribe of Asher according to its clans. Their territory included Helkath, Hali, Betan, Akshaph, Alamelech, Amad, and Mishal. On the west, the boundary touched Carmel and Shihor Libnath. Then it turned east towards Beth Dagon, touched Zebulun and the valley of Ifta-El, and went north to Beth Emek and Neiel, passing Kabul on the left. It went on to Abnon, Rehob, Hanan, and Kana as far as Greater Sidon. The boundary then turned back towards Ramah and went to the fortified city of Tyre, turned toward Hosa, and came out at the Mediterranean Sea in the region of Akzib, Umma, Aphek, and Rehob. There were 22 towns and their villages. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of the tribe of Asher according to its clans. I always put on an accent, gives me a split second to pre-read the name in my head before I keep going. That might be a good idea. Maybe I'll read this in my King James voice and translate it to King James, but I'm too far into this to change. tonight. Too far into this. Allotment for Dan. Wait, did I do Naphtali? Chat, did I do Naphtali? No, I didn't. Nope, I didn't. Because I know. Yeah, these are new words for me to screw up. Allotment for Naphtali. The sixth lot came out for Naphtali according to its clan. Their boundary went from Heleph to the large tree in Zananim, passing Adami Nekeb and Jabneel to Lakum and ending at the Jordan. The boundary ran west through Asnoth, Tabor, and came out at Hukok. It touched Zebulun on the south, Asher on the west, and the Jordan on the east. The fortified towns were Zedim, Zer, Hamath, Rekath, Kinnereth, Adamah, Ramah, Hazor, Kadesh, Edrei, En Hazor, Iron, Migdal El, Horem, Bethanath, and Beth Shemesh. There were 19 towns and their villages. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of the tribe of Naphtali, according to its clans. Blaine, I've been speaking Japanese for a while, so it gets easier. I'm sure it does. I am horrible at foreign languages. I took 4 years of Spanish, took my place in an exam in college, and was told you need 101. You need Espanol Ciente Uno? No, wait. Crap. I can't remember what 100 is in Spanish. And there you go. And there you go. The seventh lot came out for the tribe of Dan according to its clans. The territory of their inheritance included Zorah, Eshtaol, Ir, Shemesh, Shabalim, Sha'alabim, Sha'alab, Shealabin. I think that's how it is. Shealabin, Aijalon, and Ithtalah, Elon, Timnah, Ekron, Elteketh, Gibbethon, Balath, Jehud, Beneberak, Gath Ramon, Me Jarkon, and Rakon, with the area facing Joppa. Hyakuichi. I guess that's how I said that. When the territory of the Danites was lost to them, they went up and attacked Leshem, took it, put it to the sword, and occupied it. They settled in Leshem and named it Dan after their ancestor. What? When the territory of the Danites was lost to them, they went up and attacked Leshem, took it, put it to the sword, and occupied it, which is what they should have done in Ephraim, Manasseh, and Judah areas. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of the tribe of Dan, according to its clans. Allotment for Joshua. When they had finished dividing the land into its allotted portions, the Israelites gave Joshua, son of Nun, an inheritance among them, as the Lord had commanded. They gave him the town he asked for, Timnath Serah, in the hill country of Ephraim, and he built up the town and settled there. These are the territories that Eleazar the priest, Joshua, son of Nun, and the heads of the tribal clans of Israel assigned by lot at Shiloh in the presence of the Lord at the entrance to the tent of meeting. And so they finished dividing the land. Naming stuff after your ancestors. Based and respectful. Based. Fig's in the chat. Morning. Fig, have you repented for your sins of sending me and other people pictures of disgusting food combinations? Fig, have you repented for that? You need to. It's disgusting. Folks, I'm not going to subject you to what he's done to me, but it's awful. It might cause me to deconstruct my faith. Just kidding. I'm not an idiot. Fig, did Joshua take Jericho yet? Did Joshua take Jericho yet? Dude, we have just finished carving up the promised land. And taking note that even though we've conquered it and carved up the promised land, there's still Jebusites and Canaanites living in it. Don't know what they're doing. Don't know what to tell you. Wild weeb, like naming after your grandpa. Like, no. No. That's not, no. Stop that, Nico. Stop it. Mind you, Jack Murphy, I don't necessarily subscribe to this, but I know exactly what he was doing. His actual last name, the reason he changed his name from a moniker from his actual last name is because he knew what the connotations would be for some of the crowd that he was catering to if he had a last name of alleged Jewish descent. There are people within the manosphere that see that and immediately disregard what people think, disregard them. So take from that what you will, but I would venture to say that as pragmatic as he is, that is probably exactly why that's his moniker is Jack Murphy, which is of Irish descent, which is more palatable to people. I've always disliked the term manosphere. It's cringy. The manosphere is cringy. The manosphere is cringy. Manosphere is cringy. MGTOW is cringy. A lot of that stuff is cringy. A lot of everything is cringy. A lot of everything is cringy. If you belong to any of those, look, I'm not going to say you're a bad person at all. This is not leading me up to say that you're a bad person. But remember, you're aligning yourself with a political ideology as opposed to aligning yourself with the Bible. The manosphere is not biblical. It's not a biblical thing. It might have some things that align with it but I know it has some things that depart from it. Anime is cringy too, just not the anime that I like. All the anime that I like is based. Fig, I'm not looking at that yet. I know you sent another image, Fig. It just pulled up. I don't want to watch. We're not going to do a react. We're doing a read and react to the Bible, not to whatever degenerate image you just sent to the fantasy chat. That manosphere. Unless your kid turns to you and say, "Look, Dad, that manosphere." What are you talking about? Like if he sees a fat person, like they're sphere shaped. True. Everything I like is based. Well, we ain't watch what you say. Oh, Blaine, forgot to read something earlier. I only caught the beginning of it. Let me. Hawkeye was the first US STI. I have to import everything now to the point that just rally till it blows, and swapping is cheaper for me than upkeep. Yeah. Well, again, it ain't what it used to be. And it's a shame. It's a shame. Speaking of which, I'm going to be at Anime North next week if anybody wants to hang out. I haven't slept in 30 hours, so I'm a bit delusional. Yeah, that doesn't excuse you for everything you've done prior to that last 30 hours. So it might actually be something good. I'm not going to react. I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to look at it. I did see that, for what it's worth, I did see that I was talking to my friend Eric Roland, who normally would be on. I've got a lot going on. If Eric's not on these things, it's more because of me not scheduling and I don't want to schedule him when my situation is. Oh, again, here's me thinking it's Tuesday again. If I'm not, um, if I'm not, if you're not seeing Eric, it's because I'm not doing what I need to do to get him scheduled on there. Okay. Just because the schedule is so fluid right now for the next couple of weeks, it's not going to be a good it's not going to be a good thing for me to do any type of scheduling. So only things I can schedule on the fly, which is not him. Unless he says, "Hey, man, you want me to? I'd like to come on and talk about stuff." Then I'll be like, "Oh yeah, man. If I'm, it is all my fault, Fig. That's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to confess." Ugh. Where is Anime North anyway? I'm assuming it's up north, but are we like talking like northeast or like north, like Montana north, or I'm sure it's not Pacific Northwest because that would probably be back northwest. But I heard that there was a big announcement at Anime Matsuri. I don't follow cons very much, but a lot of people that I follow on oh, it's a Canuck convention. Oh, nobody cares about that sticky maple syrup filled nonsense up there in uh Sorryville. Look, you just need a schedule. Send me Eric's number and I'll get him scheduled for your show. Look, if you want Eric on your show, just reach out to him. That's what I did. Everybody you've seen on my show for the most part has been there because I've reached out to him. The last real guest I've had was Nick. So this isn't stuff that's resulted out of Nick. When I got Hans Feeney on, it's because I went and asked. And he checked out. He said, I saw a little bit of your program. I like what I see. I'll come on. There you go. For Eric, I said, hey, I saw you on Nick's show. Let's have a conversation. So we did. And he liked what I said. He liked what I said. He liked what I was all about. And it worked with what he wanted to do. And he's got some other projects that he's working on as well. But anyway, so we were discussing Anime Matsuri and Vic returning, and I really want to get Vic on to talk about not about lawsuits, not about accusations, but realizing where you are spiritually and redeeming yourself, which I think from what it sounds like he's done and he's good at doing. Because he's gone to churches before to talk, so I think that he would probably be okay or be interested in doing this stream. But I really want to get him on to talk about that, because he's very much. I've listened. The reason I know I like what he said on Nick's stream, what he was discussing, and I really think that if it was put in a based situation or based environment, with this is all about faith, that what he says will have a lot more weight to it, because I think that's a good thing to come from being a niche, let's call him a niche celebrity to being surrounded by the popularity, doing things that that you're not proud of, not talking about what the accusations are, but things that were, having sin in your life, identifying that sin and working to move past it. So I think that would be cool to have him on to kind of give a testimony on that. And very, very much, it doesn't, again, very much aside from all the legal drama and all that nonsense and all the accusations, just from a faith space, I think that would be great. So better get Eric before Blaine's escape corner steal him from this show. He's not stealing him from this show. And plus, if Eric wants to go there, that's great. That's great. Good for Blaine. Good for Blaine. Eric's going to do what Eric wants to do because Eric's a man. I don't have to tell anybody that, especially Eric, especially. So that no, if he finds it, that's great. Blaine said that's how I got Joe Ball. I don't know who Joe Ball is. I'm not in the know enough to know who Joe Ball is. Fig says I miss Eric. Eric's settling in. All right, and if you've ever made a cross country trip, and if you ever did it cross country move, and did it with a young family, you understand how involved that whole process is. And it's only been, maybe a couple of months, not even a couple of months yet. So, and we've done a couple of streams. We've been on Ridgedale brand. We've been on Ridgedale brand a couple of streams there. We had one. He wanted to Ridgedale wanted me to come on with Eric last Friday, but neither of us were going to be able to make that one, so we didn't. But we're gonna do another. I'm sure we're gonna finish that whole thing up. Blaine said I attended an Easter service Vic did years ago at SakuraCon. Blaine, was he like ministering that one, or was he just giving a testimony? Just correct me. Was he giving a sermon or was he giving a testimony? I'm just curious. Blaine's Escape Corner. Joe is great. I have a link to his previous preview issue of Death on my Discord. Oh, that's talking inside stuff. Still waiting for Fig says I'm still waiting for him to post content. I know. He's working on it. What he's doing is going to require some setting up and some researching. Blaine said I won't chain him up in the Escape Corner, I promise. Be tough. Eric works out. Dresden reminded me who Eric is. Eric Rollon, he's the guy who does the every other Tuesday co-hosting with me. Real good dude, voice actor, anime voice actor, audiobook voice actor. Overall good dude. Joe Ball is an artist who is making Death, a comic on a mother, father, and child that takes some translation of the Bible, how they say God moved Leviathan. He was ministering the sermon. Ooh, that was probably pretty cool. But yeah. So, sounds like some good stuff for him, which I don't know him personally. I've only followed him because Nick's a buddy of mine. And I watched the chat, which we're still waiting for a resolution on his case. No, I know what you meant, Blaine. So, that's pretty cool. I myself has some things coming up as soon as I get on the other side of this this busyness I've got going on. I've got something I'm working on that somebody reached out to me to do. Very interested to see where it goes. And that's cool. And one of the participants is a sometime commenter in the chat. It's none of you. And but they reached out. The other person doing the show is somebody who's also been in this chat. The only time I think they were in the chat was for Nick's stream. Somebody who's been a repeated guest on Nick's show. And that's as far as I'll go into it. And that's as far as I'll go into it. We'll I'll let that person advertise or tell me when they want me to talk about it or advertise for it but it's going to be a stream or a video thing. It's going to be some sort of video content, I believe. And when more of that is forthcoming, when we're able to hash all that out, then I'll let you guys know. Where was I at? Oh, continue. So there's a planet God puts all the stuff that he doesn't want on Earth. So you have Nephilim and Leviathan and everything. It's always interesting to see how the Japanese pull so much of like the cool sounding and cool, just kind of the neat um crap, what is the word I want to say? Not dogma, occult stuff. An occult probably isn't the occult's not the right word I'm thinking either. Folklore isn't really a good term, but all that stuff like Leviathan, like Nephilim, like the stuff that's very supernatural. Um and they just put it into their stories. I think mythical stuff isn't right either because this isn't myth. This is real stuff. This is that supernatural. I think is the best way to put it. But there's a word I'm thinking of for supernatural that I can't. I just can't place it right now. But Japan, I think, man, I think Japan really is just watching their culture from a distance, seeing that culture would probably thrive with Christianity. Well, I mean, all things would thrive, but you think of the culture just would really, really benefit from Christianity, and think of how things might evolve if they could just get over that um the kind of the anathema they look at Christianity because they're so like environmentally spiritual, like the nature and everything, the winds and all this other stuff. If they could just um, focus on learning about the idea of one God, and they probably and maybe the mystery of the um, the Trinity would be great. They are great combiners of all religions, which is a terrible thing. Which is an actual terrible thing. Went to a church in Hokkaido. They're great combiners of all religions. That is the worst. That is terrible. Hopefully, though, that somehow gets them in a place where they can grasp the concept of the Trinity, and then from there understand the gospel better, or really just desire the gospel. I don't know. I don't know. I just see it there, and I see that that atheism, that agnosticism, really just they really need God. We all need Jesus, but it would be nice to see. It would not be nice to see Christianity really land in a place that it hasn't landed yet. You're right about how Japan takes their favorite icons from other religions. Yeah, yeah. Which is also very cringy when they do take religious do try to take on Christian themes and they get it all the way wrong, and so you're watching it and you're like, that's really badly done. They really just don't get it. But it's almost like they're trying, maybe, or are they just trying to cash in on commercializing it? I don't know. Probably commercializing it. Fig Newton, bring back Imperial Japan. No, no, that would be like bring back Pharaoh, bring back the Huns, bring back all that other stuff. No. Christian imperialism. Look, that's the big boogeyman for the deconstructionists. And I've said it, and this is my thing. And they say that Christian nationalism is just white supremacy. They're wrong. They're wrong. They've got their bad actors, but it's not really focused around that. It's focused around the idea that we should. I just don't think that it's a very practical thing to strive for. Christian nationalism. We did a whole lot of cultural things have to change before Christian nationalism could even be tried. But look, what we're going to find is that a nation um, built on faith doesn't exactly always stand for it. If you want to look for examples, look at Israel as we go through Judges and Kings, Judges, Samuels, and Kings, Chronicles, all the way up to Christ, all the way through the Old Testament. You'll see why that's why that failed. You can look at the Vatican. You can look at the Western European empires, and you say, look, these guys said they stood for these things, and these were, you know, supposedly nations appointed by God, and like appointed by to do God's will, as opposed to appointed by God to for whatever purpose God had in mind. But that they were the arbiters of God's will when they all actually weren't. We've seen plenty of historical evidence for this to tell us Christian nationalism is an ideal, I guess, but not a practical thing. Christian nationalism isn't going to save people. Getting people to spreading the gospel, getting people to convert to Christianity, creating a more wholesome society that shares in the image of Christ, that is, or that strives to be as close to the image of Christ as possible. That is what we should be shooting for, not trying to bring about some sort of political change. That's not, you're missing the point. You're missing the point. And that's where I think that the Christian nationalists get it wrong. And yeah, I guess that, yeah, there's some racists in there. There's racists everywhere. There's plenty of racists and deconstructionists. There's absolutely so many of those modernists are friggin' racists, and of all walks of life. It's disgusting. It's disgusting how much hate is actually in deconstruction and out of modernists and all this stuff. Just the amount of self-victimization, guilt, misplaced guilt, um, racial enmity. That's all out there. It's all out there, and they try to create these straw men to say, look, this is what Christianity. It isn't. It isn't what you see when you walk in there. It isn't what you see when you walk into my church. It isn't what you see when you walk into many other churches around the place. Instead of saying the churches aren't following there are churches that have a bad culture that doesn't follow scripture. They want to just say, oh no, we need to just wash it all. One of them said we need a new reformation. I was like, yeah, we can refer that. We can purge all the modernists out. And then the Christian nationalists. No, that's not where you need to start. That's not where this thing came off the rails. That's not where this thing came off the rails. Blaine says it's very in regards to my comments about combining all religions. It's very hard to say no. Don't add just this. Yeah, I guess that's hard to say. Just need to be firm about it and just keep pushing it. Keep pushing it. Keep pushing it. Keep pushing it. What we need more Christian anime artists. Most interviews say, I just like how the cross looked. I think that it's a lot of just the image is cool to artists. Yeah, the cross is cool looking. What it stands for is cool. What it stands for is cool. That's what we should promote. Look, what the cross stands for is great too. Salvation, right? Through the sacrifice of God's only begotten Son, that we say it in the Trinity sense, that we say, because of this sacrifice came the redemption of humanity. That's such a cool thing. Pray for God to guide your leaders, but even where we are in Joshua, they are about to not want a theocracy. Exactly. But isn't it an interesting question? If Christianity is all good, why Christian nationalism wouldn't work? Because we are flawed people. And Blaine's perfectly setting that up. And this is another stream I'd love to get Nick on to talk about, because we're getting closer to it. We still got a book in between after we finish Joshua. Because it just to discuss, his brand of libertarian, small, lowercase libertarianism. But Christian nationalism is not and your Christian monarchists fall into that, and that's usually what I think. No, the monarchy wasn't what was great. Judges had it put together. I think the judges had it all sorted out. But again, when you have judges, how do you take care of all the ancillary things when you have a nation as big as the United States. We get all of this logistical issues that we end up trying to figure out on our own. And what we forget about is what is actually important and all the stuff. All right, here's a better, let me put this in a better light. Because we started about talking about, I talked about it in. We couldn't force democracy on Iraq. Because people, the culture wasn't ready for it. The people didn't want it. Didn't really want it. Didn't really understand it. They didn't really feel for it. They just wanted to be out from underneath an oppressive dictator, Saddam Hussein. And some of them were quite fine with it because their brand was reaping the benefits of it. But when you took out their government and you said, look, you don't have a dictator anymore. Capitalism and democracy is great. Here, have these elections. It all falls apart. And you can't force you can't decapitate the government of a nation and then just expect the one that you like to take root, because the culture has to really strive for it. That's why it worked in America, didn't work so well in France. That's why it worked in America, didn't work so well in Iraq or any of those South American places where we tried to set up stuff. We've made some, and we are a country that was founded very much on Christian principles by flawed Christian men. And you've seen the damage that we've done worldwide, along with the good that we've done. Did a lot of dumb things this past century in South America. A lot of dumb things. And you can thank the Bushes for a lot of that. Just a bunch of idiot neoconservative compassionate Christianity where really it's just there's a dollar sign at the end of it for them. So why, if Christianity is all good, why Christian nationalism wouldn't work? It's an ideal. It's great in theory. And maybe at some point we get to a place where that's where Christian nationalism is a goal. But right now the goal is getting Christians back out of the modern mindset, get it back into understanding the fundamentals of God, understanding the fundamentals of Christianity, and getting it. Stop trying to be social media, just what social media says is okay, just what just what your feelings say is okay. No, you can't. We are not ready for We are not ready for anything approaching what Christian nationalism in theory is. Which by definition is a nation built on Christian tenets. By what they say. No, it's just white supremacy. There? Yeah, sure. Yeah, they're everywhere. Those weirdos are everywhere. But guess what? It's not the normal person you talk to. And it's not the majority of the folks who would love to see a nation being ruled with Christian tenets. Look, we're all going to be displeased by some of the things we like or that we think are okay that we don't. But the deconstructionists, they're not anywhere in that equation. Nico, I guess things under tyranny just don't thrive. God said, you already have a king. Newsflash, everybody, we live in a monarchy, whether we like it or not. God's the king. And everything we put up underneath, it's a house of cards. It's a distraction. It's a point of contention. It's a wedge that Satan can use to divide us. So I hate it. I wish I could pull out of some of my own political ideology and focus more on Christianity. Get out of my own way. Ooh, long stream tonight, guys. Y'all good. Y'all are great. Thank you for tuning in, everybody who has commented, hasn't commented, will listen, will watch, and who have watched. Love you guys. Glad that y'all keep in. I try to thank you guys every night for your eyes, for your thoughts, especially the chat. It'll be great. Hey, RVs are about to go on sale. You gonna buy one, Fig? All right. Wild Weeb, welcome back. Don't be a stranger. Hope everything else goes well. Blaine, I just did 5 hours on Monday. I don't know if you're gonna ever see me do a 5-hour stream. Said Nico, damn, you really need to do a stream on this with a libertarian. Separate question, but I'm not sure if we just strive for religious nationalism. If we just strive for a religious nationalism as a libertarian. Yeah. I don't know. That's the big question. That's the big question. Nico, thanks for the word. Blaine, fun stream tonight. Excited for the next few books personally. Me too. First and Second Samuel, First and Second Kings. Dude, we are going to have a blast. Judges? Yes. Yes. Some action-packed books there. So much to pull out of that. So Nico, Blaine, Fig, glad you can make it. Wild Weeb, welcome back. Was there anybody? Dresden, saw you pop in here. Dresden's kind of the fire and forget missile. He'll say like hi and make a comment, and then you don't hear from him again. Not saying that's not a knock against you, Dresden. I'm just glad you're here. Who else? Did I miss anybody else? Porcupine, hope you're doing all right. I don't know if you're hope you're doing all right. I know you might, if you're listening to this, you might be working on your thing. So awesome. Just hope things are going well for you. Nurnath, I think Nurnath on Wednesdays, he said he does a small group. Great for them. Anybody else who's listening, stream tomorrow. That's the plan. Yeah, I'm almost 100% sure I'm doing one Friday. Tomorrow is going to be a little iffy. Plan for it, but there are things going on right now that might prevent me from doing it tomorrow. A commitment that I have that might come to fruition. So, but stay tuned. Anyway, in the meantime, everybody, have a very good evening, good night, and God bless.